I've heard some people, some friends, doubting the severity of COVID-19 and coronavirus. One friend told me just this last Sunday that they kind of think it might be a hoax because they haven't really seen anything going on around their life. So I wanted to make this video to say COVID-19 is very real. Gary Bowie was a friend of the Los Angeles Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. He was the director of Being Alive, an HIV and AIDS service organization run by HIV positive people for HIV positive people. We worked with him for well over a decade, probably two, and he's dead. The virus killed him. I went to high school with Tom Waters, who did a lot of important activism helping the homeless population in New York City. He was one of the smartest people in my class in high school. He was a really good person until he died this spring of COVID-19. Two people I've known personally. When I was back home in Maine, where I'm from, taking care of my terminally ill mother who had cancer, the woman across the street, a little dead-end street surrounded by forest where my mom used to live, her neighbor across the street, her mom died a day or two after my mom of COVID-19. Her father and her brother were also infected and they lived. And her brother wrote a paper, one of those letters to the editor of the Portland, Maine newspaper, the biggest paper in Maine, saying, people think I'm crazy for the extreme measures I'm taking to avoid this virus. And he said, that's good. You want to be taking such good care that people think you've gone too far. You have to be that extreme. You don't want this virus. You don't want this virus. Two of my dearest and closest friends that I made theater with in college and after, friends I've known since high school and college, and I'm old enough. That's like 3 decades at least, 3.5 decades at this point. They've been struggling for their lives for 3 months with coronavirus. One of my oldest and closest friends, she first noticed something was going on when her toes turned purple and red, or white, or both at the same time on different toes, because apparently COVID, she says her doctors tell her, attacks the blood and makes it clot, so that either there's no blood in her toes and they turn white, or that it blocks the blood into the toes and they turn purple. It's called COVID toes. I posted pictures on my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Twitter accounts. You can go and see what her feet look like. It is not good. Her fingertips have permanent wrinkling, like when you stay in the bathtub too long. I posted these pictures online and other people, cancer survivors, say, oh yes, that's Raynaud's syndrome. I had never heard of it before this, but apparently it's something that happens with severe diseases like cancer and now coronavirus. She had a full body rash, red spider lacework and itching all over her body that has only now started to recede and is still in her joints, like on her knees and elbows. She was in the hospital for 2 weeks when it hit her. She's been recovering at her mother's house. I didn't hear from her until 2 days ago, 3 months later, because it was the first time that she had enough energy and focus of mind to communicate with anyone. 3 months she was so out of it, she couldn't text her best friend. We texted for each other for about 40 minutes. Afterwards, she said, I have to go and sleep now. I'm exhausted by having a conversation. Now, the symptoms vary person to person. It is well true. I also know a 24-year-old friend who got it in March, early on, and he was sick as a dog in bed for 2 weeks, and then he was okay. The reports that people do get it a second time and get it worse a second time. So much for herd immunity. Apparently, there's one study I read now, just one report, saying that it doesn't seem to form antibodies that last. So no to herd immunity as an idea for dealing with it long term. Let's see. Oh, I want to show you one thing I got that you can get. So one of the things that the virus does in attacking your blood is it removes the oxygen from your blood. It depletes your blood oxygen level. And it does it without you noticing that anything is going on. So there's a fair number of people, a lot of people, who are asymptomatic, but this is still happening, and then they get slammed right near the end when they find themselves plummeting into dire illness because there's very low oxygen in their blood. And that's the people who get rushed to the emergency room and intubated. Tubes shoved up your nose, into your sinus, and then down the back of your throat. Or down your mouth, down your throat, a plastic tube into your trachea so that the machine can breathe you, can force you to breathe and breathe for you. So they advise having one of these, an oximeter or oximeter. It tells you how much oxygen is in your blood. It'll also tell you your pulse. I got this one just the other day, $23 on Amazon. There's more expensive ones. You just put it on your finger here like this. It's how athletes take their pulse and blood oxygen levels for training purposes. But nurses and doctors are recommending, and it was on the front page of the New York Times, research, that you get these in case you start to have symptoms. You want to use it regularly, hourly, to test your levels. Just waiting for it to turn on. Do I have a pulse? Oh my God, I'm a vampire. Bleh. Oh, there it is. So my pulse is 64. So I've been sitting down here making this video, so my pulse rate is low, but at the good end of low. Between 60 and 90 is what Sister Katie McKiltlifter, who is a nurse, tells me is normal. And then the lower number there is my blood oxygen level. And my blood oxygen, because I'm speaking and I'm a theater person, so I inhale deeply as I speak, it's 97, which is a little above normal. Normal is like 95 and 96, says Sister Katie McKiltlifter. If it drops to 92, then you go to the hospital, the emergency room, right away. Doesn't matter if you're feeling fine. If your blood oxygen level is 92, it's like when you take your temperature with a thermometer. 98.6 is normal, give or take a degree. But once you get up around 102, 103, 104, emergency room. It's an even closer scale with your blood oxygen level. So 95 is good, 92 is emergency room time. Forewarned is forearmed. So an oximeter. Oh, I'm at 98 now. I've got so much oxygen in my blood. I'm going to make a balloon. An oximeter. A thermometer. You can get those thermometer guns that you see on the news reports where it uses infrared light, I guess, to somehow read your blood and take your temperature. They're on Amazon for about 50, 60, 70 bucks. I didn't get one of those personally because I stay here in my house and I don't go out, so I'm not walking around checking people. But if you do, if you have family and you're around each other or roommates and you want to be sure of people's temperatures, watch their symptoms, make sure everyone's healthy, you could get one of those sort of temperature guns. The best things that we can do for ourselves and for each other is to stay home. I know, still, it's a plague. Stay home. Wash your hands. Sanitize your hands. Wear gloves. I know people say it doesn't matter because if it gets on the glove and you could touch your face with the glove. You can wear gloves when you're out and touching multiple things. Don't touch your face or yourself. And then when you get home, Have a wastebasket by the door and just peel the glove off and toss it out. Just for extra protection once you get home. So you're not bringing anything into the house. And wear a mask. Even the flimsy Chinese paper ones. The N95 ones are, if you can find them, hello, federal government, what are we paying taxes for if you're not taking care of us? That's why we pay you taxes. N95s are the better ones, but a paper one is fine. A cloth one is fine. It is better than nothing. You ever see your breath in the winter? You know, you breathe and you can see your breath, so you know how far out it can go. And when you're in a crowd, your breath is touching people. Germs can enter through the ear canal, the tear ducts, less easy than the nose and the mouth. So you are wearing a mask to keep your breath from flowing out freely and the droplets of saliva or mucus or whatever that the virus lives in. You're keeping that from flowing around to other people. Cloth mask, like the paper mask, better than nothing. And have fun. There's so many people making really fun, creative masks. Get one that says you. I ordered one that has Endora from Bewitched on it. It hasn't gotten here, but I'm still hoping. Look at this. I noticed this the other day. Recently, the rates of infection have skyrocketed in states like Texas and Florida and Tennessee. States where there really weren't that many Black Lives Matter protests during the Black Lives Matter big protest time. There were a lot of protests around people refusing to wear masks. Rates have skyrocketed in those states. They have not skyrocketed. They have started to settle out in New York City, where they had a lot of very big protests for Black Lives Matter. And the protesters all wore masks. One could infer from that. I'm not a research scientist. It's anecdotal. Prove me wrong, I'll listen. Just saying. The masks do seem to help. Stay home. If you need to go out for exercise or food or a medical appointment, then please wear a mask. Any more information that I can get for you, I will pass on. Please feel free to pass this information on to whoever you like. We all have to take care of each other. That's how we take care of our country. Yes, the economy is in danger because people aren't able to work. How can you help the people who don't have jobs if you have a job? I am lucky to have a job, and I'm very conscious of that and grateful for it. And I have decided that I am taking the money that I got from the government, the $1,200, and I'm giving it to people who don't have work, to people who didn't get the $1,200 check. I'm trying to find organizations that are helping people who are in trouble. I am trying to buy my food from small farmers and buy other things that I need in my house from small businesses, because they're the ones who are hurting more than corporations, who have fewer reserves. So in this way, ask yourself, how can I help other people at this time? That is the best way to preserve the economy. Forcing people to work so that anywhere from 5% to 12% of them, even if 1% of them die so that the rest of us can have jobs, for me is morally unacceptable. So let's take the resources we do have and help each other. That's my thought. If you have information that is not in the video, please feel free to add it in the comments or notes around this post. We will get through this. Nothing in life is forever, and this too shall pass. So while it's here, let's take care.